Hello and welcome to the Vault Dwellers podcast. It is episode number 10. This is our Halloween episode, and it's a special episode because I'm hosting, and as your host, I am Gary Moore. With me today, I have two amazing co hosts, and Mr. Mac. How are you, Mr. Mac?
Yeah, not too bad. I like how you had to hesitate as to what we were in this realm, as if it was just like, oh, and these two idiots. I was really expecting something a wee bit classier than co-hosts, but I appreciate it all the same. And what an episode for you to be hosting Halloween, your favourite time of the year. So happy to be here, episode 10. It's great to hit our first milestone, and chuffed that it worked out that episode 10, this milestone, happened to be the episode that you were going to host. So, aye, buzzing.
And also with us, we have our third chair, Hoodie.
Thank you for the marvelous introduction. Couldn't be in better hands of our fearless leader, nay, Commander, Gary. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So here at the Vault Dweller podcast, we just like to do a wee bit of different stuff. So we like to do kind of movies, games. We're going to try and get a couple of mental health episodes in the bag as well. So yeah, that's us. We're a 10-year dream. Two pals from Scotland came together and decided we're actually going to do this podcast. So yeah, that's us, the Vault Dwellers podcast, and we also got a hoodie. Everybody loves a hoodie, so we
needed a hoodie.
hijacked him. We hijacked him and just took him hostage. So he's in. He's in here now.
There's the 10-year journey and then an asterisk.
And hoodie.
Yeah.
So, like we always start, we're going to start with what have we played. So, who wants to go first? Sean, you go first.
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. I'm fine to go first, no problem. So obviously, I think there's most people know that I've got a number of different consoles. I love them all equally, even though Gary boos me anytime I mention what I'm largely going to be talking about this week. So straight off the bat, I would obviously just want to say that in this episode in general, that this what have you been playing is probably the most that I'm actually going to be speaking during this podcast, and we'll go into that later, right? But in terms of what we've been playing, as we've been kind of doing this run of podcasts and stuff, I've never fought Gary on the what have we been playing, but there was a few episodes where I'm like, I have not been playing anything, Gary. I don't want to do the segment, and there has always been like a wee something that I've been able to talk about for a wee bit that we kind of dig out, but. This week, happy to report that since the last recording of the podcast, I've actually been playing a good few games. So I'll not go over the Cult of the Lamb too much because I'm still playing that, but we've spoke about it before. So if you've not listened to the previous podcast, then give that a listen to. Pretty fun as always. So check that one out. But I've actually been kind of reintroduced, reignited, refueled by the best deal in video games, that is Game Pass. So that's kind of where I've been living over the last couple of weeks, specifically due to the release of Grounded and its first proper release. I've managed to actually we put some time and we managed to play with our Hoodie and friend of the show Johnny from New Zealand as well, and we managed to play a few bits. It's the kind of Honey I Shrunk the Kids game, and to be honest with you, in true MrMac fashion, I have spent over 75%, I would say, of my time playing that doing base building, because that's what I do. I just build stuff. That's it. So Gary will attest to that. He explores and goes away and does stuff, and then he comes back and there's a mansion built. So that's typically how I play games. But I'll keep checking back in once I've actually done something more than just chop down blades of grass and build houses. So it's been pretty fun. It's a good game, good system. I think the co-op, Hoodie could probably agree that the co-op could maybe be a wee bit more streamlined in how it works. But after a wee YouTube video, we managed to figure out how the kind of hosting and joined worlds works and things like that. So it's not been too bad. So that was kind of once or twice I'd kind of played those games. But in terms of Games Pass, I have actually checked out a few other ones. Now I've kept a couple of these secret because I'm sure Hoodie is a big fan of the last game, but I've also played a Hoodie recommended game in Tinykin. Just a wee bit, Hoodie, just a wee tiny wee bit, just the very start. So I'm excited to play more. What it was is I'd started because obviously I've got the Xbox Game Pass stuff. I've kind of been playing it on my phone a wee bit. There's another game I'm playing on mobile, but I've been playing on my phone, and it wasn't doing it justice. It was fine. I could work it. It was touch control and everything, but I just thought, I just need a wee bit more accuracy with some of this stuff, and the screen just needs to be a wee bit bigger for me to see what the direction that this is wanting me to go in. So I've put it off. And once I finish the games that I'm playing currently, I'll definitely go back because it's quite a nice art style. I can't speak too much more about what the game is, I'm afraid, because I'm not fully sure of it. Who they could probably update us, but it's at the minute it's a really nice art style. More of we've actually spoke about it on the podcast. I think anyway. I'm sure it was what we spoke about. It's more of a kind of Lemons situation. So it's pretty fun. But on the Games Pass stuff, I did play Slay the Spire on my mobile. Another Hoodie recommended game, and that's been pretty fun as well. Card based combat game. So kind of playing that mostly at night for like an hour, kind of doing runs. The furthest I've got is the boss for Act 2. I didn't realise that when I died, it puts me back to Act 1. So once I've regained my confidence, then I'll be able to kind of do another run. But it is pretty fun. It's just I know the loop. I see what I'm supposed to do. But it's just a kind of game that I've been playing on my phone to pass the time. But this week, my biggest game, the game I've played the most, and this is the last one, I swear, then I'll pass it, Hoodie. But the game I've actually played the most this week on Games Pass is Costume Quest, because it's the first time I've played it, and I just thought it was very fitting of this episode and this time of year to pick up a game, such as Costume Quest. Now, I don't know, was that an Xbox 360 only game, or Gary, do you know a Costume Quest?
I don't know about the first one. I know the second one was definitely on PlayStation because I played that. I've played the second one. I've not played the first one though. Right,
so I've not played any of them, and just if anybody's unsure of it, it's a turn-based kind of RPG game with different costumes and different kind of configurations. You go up against these aliens that have stole your sibling, and you've got to try and get them back. And I wasn't sure first when I put it on, because there's obviously no spoken dialogue. It's text based and stuff, but it's actually pretty fun. Like the combat's pretty fun. I enjoyed the full kind of first opening kind of area in the neighbourhood, doing all the kind of trick or treating and whatever else. I did really enjoy it, and then I felt like it kind of jumped up in difficulty a wee bit when I went into that kind of graveyard area. But it's because I didn't realise that you had to equip the battle stamps. I just thought they were getting applied. So I'm getting into these battles and I'm like, I'm supposed to be able to dodge, or I'm supposed to be better, and it wasn't fucking working. And I died 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, I shouldn't be getting beat here. This is so early, and there's nothing else to grind. I must be doing something wrong. So I started getting into the menus, and that's when I found these battle stamps that I was purchasing with the candy that I was getting for the trick or treating. And that's kind of changed it up a wee bit, and there's a different kind of dynamic. So I'm still, I think, quite early in the game. I'm just at the carnival. If you're overly familiar with Hoodie, then I think you probably know that it's probably still quite early in the game. But really enjoying it. I thought it would be a good pick and a good one to bring to the table, considering that it's Halloween. So yeah, really enjoying it. Like I said, and I'll probably keep Hoodie up to date because I've been dying to talk to him about it, but I've just no. I wanted to wait until the podcast, so I'm sure we'll be speaking about all our favourite costumes over the coming days. But yeah, that's been me. I'll just pass the baton over to our good friend Hoodie.
Let me tell you what, it's a great segue because I've been playing another Double Fine game, which is Psychonauts 2. I have been loving it. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy the story. I went through Psychonauts 1 just to see if I needed to really understand this world. I don't think you do. You could just jump into 2 and it's completely fine, aside from a few little story like references, but nothing much other than that. I wasn't a big fan of Psychonauts 1. I know a lot of people are. I think maybe it is the dated controls and that really really stumped me trying to get through Psychonauts 1. But 2 is just such a great game. I want to say I'm like midway, probably maybe a little bit more, but I've just met Jack Black's character, and he's pretty fantastic. I'm loving him. But yeah, similar to other Double Fine games, it tends to be that thing of it feels like a game that came out in the 90s, which I think is a good thing. I like that. I'm a big fan of those like mascot platformers. And also in the vein of like Costume Quest, if you don't like put on the badges, you'll just never get those abilities. You'll just never know about them. Which seems to be just a trend in Double Fine games at this point. I think, Tim Schafer is a genius and one of my favorite writers in gaming. So, anything he makes, I'm excited for. But yeah, Costume Quest, by the way, those are incredible games. And like you said, perfect for Halloween season and just so much fun. And I love the creativity in them. The second one's my favorite. I hope eventually you get to play that one as well, because those are great games. Those are, I think, probably some of the first games that I remember being introduced to like turn-based gaming, because I never played any Final Fantasy, so I wasn't privy to those. But yeah, I've been playing that, and then of course Grounded as well, which is fantastic to be able to play on or offline with or without friends, because I do show up in our world and I see that you've got like a mini fortress going on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I was gone for like a day. What happened? Oh wow! All right, okay, very cool, very cool. Yeah, it's very impressive because I'm just being an idiot running around the world trying to build a hat, and he's making castles. Like, I'm just trying to craft this dumb hat that looks like one that I own in real life, and I'm like, man, the amount of contribution that I've given to this team is zero help. But Grounded is also another really fun game that I think it's such a great Game Pass game. Like, if you were going to sell somebody on why there's value in that, because I don't think a lot of people would probably pick up Grounded, unfortunately. And so to be like, for a value of X amount a month, you can get 3 months for $1 if you're first signing up. So you get 3 months of Game Pass, and just the library is great, but that is one of the top games, I would say, aside from clearly my game of the year is Tinykin, which I'm very excited for jumping into. I'd be hard pressed to see if Kratos could even take down Tinykin at this point. It's just, I really love that game. That game spoke to me on a level that I did not see coming. I mentioned it when we talked about it a while ago, where it's one of those games that I didn't realize the time had passed. I was like, oh, I've been playing this for 5 hours, like not even, it's 3 a.m. Okay, man, like that, we'll do that in party chats or whatnot, but on my own, games don't usually speak to me on that level of, I'll just play these for hours and hours and not realize it. And Tinykin just did that. So I'm excited for you to be able to jump into that. But yeah, those are the 2 games that I've been really focused in on. I'm really loving Psychonauts 2. What about yourself, Gary?
So I'm still playing Red Dead Redemption. I'm now in, I think it's Guarma, I think, is the island that you go to.
Okay.
So I'm probably, I don't know, about more than halfway. Still loving it. I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything like that. Excuse the pun. But what can you say about Red Dead? It's an amazing game. I'm still pure RPing the life out it. I was watching my daughter the other day, and she just plays. She plays like a completed version of it that I've already completed, an old save. So she's like end game
Smart.
stuff. So like she's doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, you just fast travel to that, and you just blah blah blah. And then I think to myself, I don't even do that. I don't fast travel. Like see if I'm out and I get a horse, like, and I've still got my other horse, I actually like take that horse all the way back to the stable and stuff like that. That's the kind of like role playing that I'm doing in that game. It's pretty sad, but that's just the way I'm playing it. But I'm loving it. Loving it. My second game I've been playing this week, and I completed it, was Super Hot.
Nice.
It was one of the games that was on. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was PS Plus. I don't know.
Yeah,
I got
it
it
is.
anyway.
What do you think what's the major differences between that and the VR version?
It's very different because it's much easier. The VR version's harder, definitely. I think the challenges for the VR version are really smart as well. Like I always remember that one that you had to like throw the gun and try to catch it. But yeah, that was a brilliant one in the VR. When I felt like this, I never was stuck on a challenge for too long. I maybe died once, and then I was like, right, I know what I'm doing this time. So like I completed that maybe in like 3 or 4 hours. I wasn't interested in the story whatsoever. It's like one of these convoluted, pure Matrix stories. It's like, oh, are you real or is this person? And I'm like, nah, I'm not bothered with that. Skip. Just let me get into the challenge. But no, I really enjoyed it. I, every time you finish it, does that super hot. Hot. The wee man. I was playing it, and the wee man ran in the living room, and it was like super hot.
Nice.
I was like, I need to stop playing that game around him. But that's another game I've been playing. So I completed that. So you could go and do the endless run and stuff like that. I'm not really that bothered. I was just kind of happy to play it. I got what I needed to do to it. It was that kind of game, jump on for 20 minutes type deal. I enjoyed it. And my third game that I've started to dip my toes into was Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That's another one that's came on the PS Plus. So this was the Grand Theft Auto that I was interested in. I'm not really interested in playing San Andreas, and I wasn't really interested in playing 3. I don't want to play San Andreas because I have such fond memories of it. And I think to myself, see if I play that and then I don't like it, it's gonna like sully my memory of it. So Vice City was the one I was like, I don't really have a pure mega love for Vice City. So I mean, I liked it. I'm not saying I don't, but I just thought that's the one. So I started playing it, and I don't know if I'm enjoying it. I really don't. It's I know they've fixed the controller and all that, but I just think when you're playing it, you're like, this is still pure janky as anything. Like, I don't know. I think in my mind, I've always just wanted to see if they were going to do Vice City and the remake and the San Andreas remake. Just remake it. Just do a full remake. Don't arsing about. And I just feel like this is just like it's just better looking, really. Like the traffic's pure janky still. Like you'll be turning a corner, then like 3 cars will just smash into you, and it's very strange playing Red Dead Redemption and Vice City because Vice City feels pure ancient, and it obviously is.
But it
like,
is exactly. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing. Like, I mean, I think they can do some improvements in control and visual improvements and stuff. But it is just as you're saying earlier about GTA, like Sarah and stuff. Like, I mean, you see some of the still photos, and they're no Photoshop. They really were that square. The faces were really were that square, and we're not spoiled. I wouldn't say we're spoiled now, but technical advances have just came so far. I mean, you look at what we played compared to what was maybe 5-10 years before us. Like, it's vastly different, and I think it's even more so from what we played as when we were younger to now. So I would
Definitely.
100% agree that games maybe of a high nostalgia value, or somewhere a game that you hold quite highly, it should really just belong in the kind of memory bank, because it's just
Yep.
one of the things, like, that it's as much as you can sometimes put that kind of thing aside, and just kind of forget about it, and give games like a pass or whatever. Like, I think sometimes you can kind of be like, oh, I shouldn't really have done that. Or, I mean, it's, for me, I think that can be applied to like movies as well. Like, you kind of think, like, I mean, I watched the Austin Powers movies last year, the year before, and I'm like, this isn't quite as funny as I remember it. Like, I'm still enjoying it, but this isn't really quite as funny, because it's not the same time as when it was released. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest thing about going back to games like that, even graphically improved ones. I'm 100% with you. If you're remaking it, you have to take the style, the vibe, whatever, and then apply it to like a modern version. I don't think you can just zhuzh it up a wee bit. There's a lot of things in the background that you need to
Yeah.
be, fixing at the same time. And if you're doing that, you're as well just starting again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
See,
honestly,
don't you go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about like Psychonauts 2 and how that does feel like a 90s game, but if it was made today, or uh, I play Bully every year, a Rockstar game, and platinumed it, love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And it's also the thing of, well, I play it every year, so I know what to expect every year, and it's never going to catch me off guard. But that culture shock of what we have now and what we had then is so significant. And the unfortunate reality is, like what Mac was saying, unless it's a Crash Bandicoot situation where you're rebuilding it almost entirely from the ground up, it's hard to say, hey, here's this remastered version, but it still is on rails. It is like tank controls. It is a lot of those systems in place and those core mechanics that you can't fix. And
Yep.
that's really the thing that throws people off a lot of the time. Because it is night and day to play Bully and then go to something like a Psychonauts where it is, oh wow, okay, yeah, like there is a massive gap in advancement. So uh, it's unfortunate how they kind of also pitched this game. Like I feel like they started selling the trilogy as, oh look, you can play it, it's all new, it's coming in. I know our friend Matt Ferguson, played through them and just had a hell of a time in the bad way. It's unfortunate.
It's very strange going through like Red Dead, which is obviously probably one of the best games ever at this point,
Yeah.
and yeah, Red Dead 2, sorry, and then you go to like Vice City, and you just realise how like there's just nobody about in Vice City. Like there's no civilians. There's like the three people and like a full
Hmm.
street, and you're
Yeah.
just like, it's so empty. Also, the map is so tiny. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. Like, obviously you're going for like your memory. You think, oh, it was big, massive map and all that, and you look and I literally drove for like, I mean, I'm only at the starting island. If you like, I drove from one end to the other end, and it took me like 3.5 minutes. I was like, this, it's crazy. Everything just feels so empty as well. Like you drive down an alley and there's just nothing in it. There's
Hmm.
there's nothing in the roads, and I don't know. It's a game that I started and I was like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this, and then as I've started it, I'm like, oh, this is one that should just maybe just get deleted and just be remembered instead.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which is a shame, but I think I always knew that when the reviews all came out for the definitive edition. When you see people like, if you've played this before, just don't even bother. And yeah, I think that's definitely the way I think I'm going to end up. Just put it on the chopping block, I think.
Yeah, it's a interesting thing because I think what your idea for what we've been playing every week is like a time capsule. It is interesting to, what if you opened that time capsule? Like, what if you went back to those things, as Mac was saying with Austin Powers? What if you went back to them? Is it good to do that? Right? It's always an interesting conversation because unless you're watching it every year, like a movie we're about to talk about with Hocus Pocus, what does that distance in time really do to the things you love? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's too bad.
Yep. So that's what we've been playing this week, or the last couple of weeks. So we're going to go into our episode. So this week's episode is about Halloween. So we're just doing a full topic about Halloween, and we're also going to finish with a Hocus Pocus review. The Hocus Pocus one, sorry, I should say, review. So yeah, let's just get right into the Halloween. So, Mr. Mac, how do you generally feel about Halloween?
Well, despite the fact that I'm wearing my nice skull top here, which was entirely accidental, if I'm being completely honest, I'm just not going to be the best person for this episode. I really am. I love how much you love Halloween. I love how much other people love Halloween. I like the Halloween setting, environment, the fact it's attached to horror, things like that. But like honestly, for me personally, like, it's probably one of the most kind of, I don't know, if you want to call it a holiday, Americanism, holidays, whatever. It's probably one of the most kind of overrated for me in terms of what it actually is. Like, like I said, I do like the setting, and I like, when there's episodes and shows and stuff, and they're having, Halloween parties, and you see people in outfits and all that stuff like that. It's not that I'm like against it. I just, you find with the questions that we're going to run through, and the bits of the topics we're going to run through, that it's just not something that we really done when I was younger. So you just don't have that kind of foundation to then move on. And if it's weird, I don't know if it's because you're kind of, it's an adult thing, or if it's just because of this. I don't know what I call it, a diet, but this kind of like with the eating and the things like that I'm doing now with the training and stuff, that I do feel that the more kind of Halloween stuff that you kind of look at, it's just that kind of introduction of like sweets. Like, it's just, you go into, Tesco, whatever, and it's like this tiny wee section in the aisle, and it's like kids' Halloween clothes, and then it's just sweeties, hundreds of sweeties, and it's like, oh my god, man, how dare! I don't have anything against sweeties. Clearly, I didn't get to my size without eating a fucking sweetie or two, right? But I just, it's just one of the things where I'm like, do we really need to be, try to, ram down the whole kind of sweet thing? I like the Halloween side of it. I like the kind of creepiness to it, but no, it's not something that I kind of grew up with. So it's a strange thing, and obviously people will be like, "What the fuck are you doing a topic about it?" Then, well, it's Halloween, right? It's Halloween. It's our podcast. We'll do what we want, right? Gary loves Halloween, so this is for Gary, and Hoodie likes Halloween, right? So, I can only apologise if people are like, "What the fuck is this guy even on here for?" But I genuinely, I'm going to bring the negative side to Halloween. So somebody else take the microphone before I go off on a sweetie-driven rant.
So Hoodie, how do you generally feel about Halloween?
I didn't expect this. I had no idea that Mac had such hatred towards Halloween.
I've got an agenda against the sweetie corporations. No, I don't.
To play into what Max said, though, like Halloween, from what it began as to what it is now, has become very consumeristic. Like it is
definitely.
It is 100% to sell you on something, similar to like a Valentine's Day, where it's like, well, that's not what it was, but it is what it is now. I mean, this is the version that I grew up with, and this is the version that I love. It's my favorite holiday. I think it's the best time of the year as far as weather goes, as far as like vibes. You feel it. You're like, there's something in this air. It's Halloween. It's time, dude. But yeah, like, I think, to get a little existential, growing up, I was really kind of odd one out a lot of the time.
Oh, never.
In a shock to absolutely no one. And I think Halloween let me be myself more than any other time of the year. So masks and costumes and just being able to finally like embody how I felt as a kid. or what I wanted to do, right? I'm also a fat kid. I'm a fat adult, but I'm also a fat kid at the time. So, I'm out here being able to dress up and not be shamed for it or whatnot. And I
Yeah.
think it's just a very special time. I'm not a big candy guy, sweets guy. I don't really enjoy any candies. Whenever I'd go trick or treating, I gave my basket to my friends because I just didn't want it at the end of the night. But it was the participating that made it really fun. It was going out with friends or going out with my mom and going house to house and having like the little interaction and community that Halloween creates here in America, at least, where you really do feel like it's the one time of year where everybody's invited and like encouraged to participate in the neighborhood and see other people that you might have never seen before and celebrate what everybody's dressed up as and be excited and look around and go, oh, I love that, oh, that's cool. Or similar to what I was saying where I'd give away my candy, my friends would trade amongst themselves. Oh, you got a Kit Kat? Oh, can I have the Snickers? Oh, I want that. Like all of those little things and the joy that Halloween brought was so meaningful to me. And then obviously as I've gotten older, it's just turned into like a horror movie month, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I love Halloween. What about you, Gary?
So I know Sean's saying I love it. But
Don't you say you're in between. Get away you go.
I'm very mixed.
Fucking pumping carving all that shit. Like, oh, come on.
I feel like I'm very mixed in Halloween. It's one of these things that I don't really want to participate in, but then when I get into it, I get into it. You know what I mean? As Sean says, like I do pumpkins and stuff like that. I started carving pumpkins. I don't do it for a professional, I started doing it about 5 years ago, and I really enjoyed doing it. It was kind of my first kind of art stuff I done.
Might I interrupt you to tell you that you're brilliant at it, audience? If you have never seen his pumpkins, they are amazing, like legitimately amazing.
No got an absolute clue what I'm doing this year. Sean asked me, and I was like, I don't have a clue, man. They get the juices flowing and think about
it. Get a wee ode to the Vault Dwellers. Get that pumpkin out on the step.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, but
free advertising. get Grim Reaperson on the front of it and all that.
Good.
There you go.
But Halloween, it's a weird one in Scotland. Like I think when we always think of Halloween, you always think of like the movies in America, don't you? That's the first thing you go to. Like, every single house is done up to the Halloween madness, and everybody's getting out candy, and there's bowls left out with candy and all that kind of stuff. And it just isn't really like that in Scotland. You're lucky if like 2 or 3 people in your street are even doing Halloween. Usually it's kind of the rule. If they kind of put stuff out like a pumpkin or something on the windies, then you're kind of like, all right, cool, they're doing Halloween, but you leave everybody else alone.
I think that's a kind of new thing, because I'm sure that wasn't the way when we grew up. Like, it was just you just tried as many doors as possible.
When we used to live in flats, we just tried every single door possible. Cause, you don't care when you're that age. You're just like, I'm chatting everybody's 95-year-old neighbour. You're chatting her door for sweeties and all that.
Cough drops.
But no, I'm very. I do like. I love, as you said today. I love like the Halloween aesthetic. I love like being outside and stuff. It's when autumn's really starting to kick in. The leaves are all changing. Changing the weather. I also like it it's kind of like the run up to Christmas. It's like Halloween, then boom, like that's us. We're on the road to Christmas, and that's when that's my time of year that I love. But I'm genuinely, I would say I'm 50-50 with Halloween. I can really, really be up for it.
50-50.
Or I can kind of be asked with it. There's been times, like when there's been parties and stuff, and I'm just like, I just can't be bothered with this. Just can't be asked. But then there's times when I've hosted my own parties, and I'm like, I need to be asked with this, so getting right into it. But I don't know. I think I'm 50-50 on it, but Sean's not having it.
No. I would
Sean's
have
there
I feel
planning
like
to smash my pumpkins.
I would have accepted closer to 75, 80. That's where I'm thinking that
I
you're
feel like I've walked into an ambush.
Aye.
So I'm gonna combine these first two. So I'm kind of just gonna do our first Halloween memories and kind of Halloween as a child. I'm just gonna combine the two as kind of one
Absolutely,
question.
yeah. No,
I just
cool.
think that's kind of part and parcel.
Yeah.
So Sean, you go first. What was Halloween like growing up for wee Mr. Mac?
So it's weird. I don't. I have like a few like really kind of early memories, and it wasn't until I was like starting to really like kind of think about it, like properly kind of think about it, that that kind of probably resonated as to why Halloween wasn't that big a thing. Like when I was growing up, so there's a few different things. Like one of them being like I'm quite an outgoing person now. I have the hats, I have all the stuff with that kind of thing where I'm streaming and whatnot. If people don't know by what I mean by I've got hats, as if people should know what that is. But I'm general assuming that people know that obviously I do Twitch, and one of the things is to put hats on and things like that. So I don't my level of embarrassment, if you want to call it that, is come down somewhat as you kind of got older. But back then, I was generally quite kind of awkward that way. I was still an overthinker even back then, so I cared far too much about what other people kind of thought, and I generally didn't really have too much. I don't really remember. I don't actually think I've ever actually went out trick or treating. Back then, because we lived in quite a kind of rough area, and we didn't really like buy stuff or anything like that for other trick or treaters. So I just didn't have the drive to go out and do trick or treating or anything like that. I remember people. One of the first kind of memories is I remember like people came to our door once. My mum answered it because it was like later on. My mum answered it, and it was like two of these lassies feel like across the kind of backstairs, and they like they dressed up as bin bags. So they just put bin bags on, and they were like, "Oh, we're bin bags," and I'm not joking when I say that my mum said to them, "Get the fuck! I'm not getting yet." But the bin bag, that's not a fucking costume, and then just shut the door on them. So, we probably like, I don't know if it was like a kind of poverty thing or no, like in terms of like and that wanting to buy in, or probably just more like we we'll look after ourselves first. That kind of way where it's like with whatever money we do have, we need it to do what we're doing. So it's quite an expensive thing when you try and buy in all these sweeties and whatever else, especially if your own kids aren't really bothered. But we dressing up and going out and stuff. We didn't really have any like Halloween parties at school. Growing up, so there just wasn't a kind of general Halloween vibe. I do remember as a child though, I was the one biggest thing that I loved about them is that you would get the bags. You still do. You get the bags of the nuts and the shells.
Mm-hmm.
I loved
Monkey
them.
nuts.
Monkey nuts. I loved them. I don't. We didn't really eat them any other time, like nuts or anything like that, any other time. But during the year, but these, I would get like bags of them. My mum would buy the big bag, and then she'd give me a wee poly bag, and I'd go away into the room and fucking devour them. But that was probably like the most. So it's not even like sweets. It's just so that was really.
I've got a story about monkey nuts. So
Aye.
I don't
Perfect
know
segue.
I don't know if you do that in America, Hoodie, but they usually give you monkey nuts and stuff like that. I know.
I'm gonna tell
That's
you,
they
out of
used to do it.
context, you saying monkey nuts over and over again is really throwing me. These sort of thinking of America.
They're just like these nuts in a shell. I don't know if that's I don't know what they're called. But
just peanuts in the shell. No.
Oh.
It's just, you know how you know how like peanuts when they come in the shell, it's like the two nuts inside.
Okay.
So you just call them monkey nuts. I don't know why they're called monkey nuts. But anyway, they used to always get them. Used to always get them at Halloween. Everybody used to always get monkey nuts out. So one year I went home, emptied my loot out, and I got these monkey nuts, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to try one of these. And I went to open it, and I cracked it, and it slit my finger right open.
Oh no!
And I had to go to A&E and get stitches put in my finger. It literally slit my index finger right open.
Wow.
And that was a Halloween, pure wasted.
Oh no!
That night I could have been sitting eating candy, eating my sweeties. No, Gary goes and slits his finger open with a monkey nut shell, and he was in A&E for like 3 hours. Terrible. Terrible memory.
That's the worst. Speak of terrible memories. I do remember the one time that I did have a costume. This is so sad, man. I think this is like the fountain. You really like it's like a day in the therapy, man. Like
I'm going to write all this down here for you.
Opening old wounds. I remember having I had a costume. It was Batman, and it was in my bag. So we went to school, and the costume was in my bag. But I was like, oh, I'll be able to put it on, you know, when I get to school or after lunch or whatever else. But I don't know why my mum put it in my bag, like for me to wear. I think she maybe thought that people would be dressing up because it was Halloween. But so I was all excited about dressing up as Batman on Halloween. Nobody dressed up. I had that I had that stuff in the fold, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to go and dress up soon. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to go and do this, and I finally had the confidence. And it was, but we were in like the kind of upper part of the school. The school was split in two. We were in like the kind of elder part of the school, and I don't think they really bothered with that kind of thing. So I never got to dress up. When I finally found my confidence, that was it. It snatched for me. I wasn't allowed to dress up. So, I'm
just imagining in your drawer there's still this unused Batman costume.
If it was in my drawer, you bet I've still be using it. Fucking putting it on, getting my mask on. No, it's weird because you don't have the drive to do that, and it's not like my mum like. It's not like we could just go out and go trick or treating, and we probably spent like a lot of the years just like put the lights out, you know, and just kept on with one there. That's
right up Batman's alley. Turn off the lights, sit and breathe.
Turn the lights off. I remember like we were doing that. We turned the lights off, and so like we were in a close, so like a flats, whatever. And if you go out the back into the garden, there was a pipe, that. It was like where the bathroom was at the end room, and then one end was the kitchen. But the drains that came down had like a return and then back down again. So there was a straight bit of pipe that was underneath the kitchen window. Because you couldn't see in from the back garden. We used to like stand on the pipe and we can chat the window and try and get like something off my mum or whatever. But one day, the door went and we had like all the lights out and we were like, shh, no, shh. And then all you heard was on the fucking window, and we're like, no way, there's chat in the window. But it was my mum's friend that was at the window. So that was another kind of memory. So I apologies. I'm sure these guys will have a lot more happier memories, but I spent mine being traumatised and hiding from people in the dark. So, Hoodie, please tell me you've got some better stories as a child and your first Halloween memories, man. You must have some positive stories to share.
You know, firstly, I'm sorry that Batman's parents died and he became Batman. You became Batman and your dreams died, and that's just not right.
That's it.
It's just not right. You know, I don't like that. I'm sorry.
I'm horrified.
Yeah, mine most of my Halloween memories are all going to be positive. So,
Good.
Gary, you're going to have to come back with that to bring us back down. I mean, yeah, Halloween was always like a huge thing, just in the neighborhood, but also with Mom and I, where we dress up. We usually got like twin costumes. So,
Nice.
back in my day, there was this Disney magazine that we would get in the mail, and they'd have like a catalog, and you could pick costumes out. So she would order a twin costume, and one year we went as like Tigger and Eeyore. I was Eeyore, obviously. And things like that. So that was always fun. We would go around the neighborhood and knock on everybody's door, and I remember just every time the neighbor right across the street from us. I used to live in a house, so
Yeah.
that kind of neighborhood, and
Instead of a cardboard box.
that's what it feels like sometimes where I am now. But we'd go across, and we'd knock on their door, and we'd go there first because we always knew they had the jumbo bars. That was the thing.
Oh.
You go there first. They go all out. This is a good house, and so we would go over there, get the jumbo bar, and then any candy I got through the night, it was we'd collect it, and Mom would always be like, "Oh, I'll have that," or "I'll want that," and I always thought that was just like a fun thing, like the dibs aspect of it. I'll take that. I wasn't going to take any of it, so like I don't even know why you're dibbing it. Like you're gonna get all of it at the end of the night. I don't like candy. But those were always fun memories. They used to have a mall walk where at around 6 p.m. kids could come out to like this big mall ways away. Mom would drive us out there, and each store would have a different candy. I always remember going to Brookstone. I don't know if you had those, but they were like a kind of weird niche technology store. So like keyboards that were made out of lasers, dumb things like that, or massage chairs, and you'd go around and you get to that, and you just want to pass it, but you couldn't because you have to go through the line, and you get to that store and they hand out raisins. I remember that just being absolute. What
sacrilege.
kind of? You know what? You will never sell me a massage chair, sir. I will never buy one from you. You're handing me raisins? I'm a child. What child wants raisins? They're not even chocolate covered. What are you doing? Take them. You shove them. I don't want them. And I said that right to his face. No, no. But a lot of memories just come from little things like that, the little details of the night. Other than that, Mom would decorate the house. It was always fun with pumpkins about, and we'd go out to the pumpkin patch, and there was a big maze that we'd go through, and by the end of it, you could pick any pumpkin you wanted. So we'd do that. She'd get a little one for me that I could decorate, and she'd get a big one and then carve it a bit. Nowhere near the masterful detail that Gary does, but it was still fun. I've always loved everything about Halloween as a kid. I mean, as I've gotten older, Halloween has become less fun, but as a kid it was really just everything. So yeah. What about yourself, Gary? Bring us back down. Bring them.
No, I've got quite good memories for Halloween when I was younger. My mum and dad always kind of went all out for Halloween. They never really decorated the house. I don't ever remember like them pumpkins or anything like that. But they were always like, my dad he's quite crafty. So he was like good at making like costumes as well. Even if you would buy like a store-bought costume, he would always try and like make it better, if you know what I mean. He'd always try and like do wee bits. So I always remember like I had this Dracula, and he like changed bits, and he put like different bits of material on it just to make it look like nicer and stuff like that.
That's
so
fun.
he was always quite crafty like that. I was just like a normal Halloween kind of grown up. Always going out trick or treating. I lived in flats as well, but we just used to go everywhere, like in that kind of we're kind of like a wee secluded kind of area in our flats. So we just used to go out with our mums and stuff like that, and we'd go to every single door we could possibly go to. There was lots of families where I lived as well, so it was always quite big. No, it's not nothing like American Halloweens, but you still, you go to a wee bag of sweeties if you're lucky. Most you would probably get nothing, but you just try out all the doors, as Sean said. I think with school as well, our school used to always do like a Halloween parade. So they always used to get you dress up whatever day was closest to Halloween, or if it landed on Halloween. And they used to always do this parade. Your mums and dads could come and watch these, and I think it was after lunchtime. And everybody got to go in their costumes, and they got to do the wee parade on the gym hall
That's
for all
fun.
the mums and dads. And then after it, there used to be it was either in your class or in the gym hall. After the mums and dads left, they would throw a big Halloween party. So that was always good. I always remember like being in P7 when I was the last year in primary school. I'm always like, oh, I'm too old for this. Like, I don't want my mum. Are you sure? Are you sure? No, I don't want a costume. That's a lot of nonsense. Halloween, know that, And then it came up to it, and I was like the day before, I was like, Mum, can I get a costume? Like, I feel like I'm going to be like the only person that's not got a costume at this, And it was that pure mad rush trying to get a costume. What you dressing as? I don't know. Anything, I don't really care.
He's a bed sheets.
I cut holes in them. But no, it was always good. Nice. I had a nice upbringing with Halloween. Well, as I said, my mum and dad were always quite into it. My dad never really took us out much trick or treating, but as I said, he was always kind of try to get us ready, and he always was quite good with the outfits and stuff. Whereas my mum was go and take them out for about 2 hours in the rain. Usually, Scotland's notorious for raining just constantly, and it always usually happens at Halloween. Lashing the rain usually. But aye, that's kind of me. My kind of first memories as like a kid. They were always good, always good.
Good stuff.
So changing on to that, how do you think Halloween as an adult is, MrMac?
I don't know. It's weird. I could probably, kind of combine the next two in terms of that kind of favourite memories kind of thing. Because my favourite memories at Halloween were actually as an adult, just because it was such a kind of it's a thing that we never really bothered with. So the first kind of introduction to going places for Halloween and dressing up and stuff was the kind of different parties that you would have at yours. Obviously starting with when you were still staying with like your mum and dad, and they'd always kind of have a kind of Halloween kind of party. So I do see the kind of fun, and it is a good laugh. Getting dressed up and having a look at and buying kind of costumes and things like that. But it feels like I'm such a fucking Debbie Downer, right? But I still I get such like an anxiety over like what kind of costume to have that I almost wish I could go as Debbie Downer. I almost wish that it was like I didn't really know about it until nearer the time, and then it just happens. You know what I mean? And I have and it's something that I can just kind of sort quickly. But I always have a kind of over kind of thinking kind of thing. But there's been a couple of different times that I've kind of been using. I've just kind of bought a costume, and the first one was that kind of evil kind of jester kind of thing, and it was quite cool. So I was quite kind of happy with that costume, and had the prop and whatever else. Plus, I don't think sometimes it helps. When you go on some of these websites and that you see a lot of kind of cool outfits, and a lot of them just are kind of made for my size and stuff. So it's kind of hard for on that kind of side. But Gary's parties were class. A good laugh. Everybody's always putting, good effort into it, especially Gary's wife. She's always. That time she did I can't remember what the name it was, but she was like blue. What was that?
Yeah, she was Mrs. Argentina for Beetlejuice.
So she was and it looked really really good. And then and was that the same you were Rick?
I went right.
And he had the lab coat and the wee gun that he'd made and whatever else. Like it was spot on. And it's just fun, like to have the kind of memories of kind of Halloween, because I don't think that you would I'd maybe have that kind of thing. That again, so it was good to get them in, and plus obviously the kind of the effort that your missus goes to with the different Halloween themed cakes and all that stuff. Like it's fun to remember.
She still never made day cakes again. I think they were
No,
with Sean.
I genuinely do think we've made them up.
Reese's cupcakes. They were amazing. Oh,
Aye, absolutely class. But like as like like as an adult in general, in terms of like how I kind of feel it's weird. It's probably the only time that I have like an inclination to watch any kind of horror themed films or whatever, but I don't feel like there's a kind of like a pressure or like it must happen, like similar to like how Christmas is. Like Christmas is like I'm gonna curate a watch list of stuff that I want to watch when it gets closer to Christmas, and then it's like, right, well, how close to Christmas do I want to actually start watching these, and which then turns into I only have this much time until Christmas, so what ones am I going to fit in? Like it's just a kind of evolving thing, and we aren't the biggest film watchers, so it's probably a bit naff me even suggesting that there would be that is something about Halloween that comes to mind as an adult, but you don't really like get that into the whole. Obviously, the trick or treating thing's gone, so it's I don't know. It's a bit different. It's probably just a kind of in years gone past. Anyway, it's like it's an excuse to buy those party bags of fucking sweeties and just get tucked in and watch different films and stuff. But these kind of days when you're trying to be a bit cleaner than that is. Right now, it's just trying to avoid the fucking sweetie aisles.
So, Hoodie, what about yourself as an adult in Halloween? Or adult young person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel for Mac, and also just like the whole bit of costumes become a difficulty, and I think even though there's more agency as an adult to do what you want during Halloween, there aren't very many options during Halloween.
Yeah.
So what's really the point of participating? It's like a little bit every year the magic dies kind of thing, where you slowly realize Halloween just was designed to sell kids stuff. So I feel on that aspect because a lot of no costumes I'm out here finding fit me. So I'm like, okay. So I've made it a tradition of my own to just buy a mask every year. This here is Daffy Duck. I bought a Daffy Duck mask. But yeah, I think, again, like as an adult, it's about trying to find parties, I guess. And I'm not a very big party person. I don't, especially like large groups of people. I have difficulty being around a lot of people at once. So little by little, I forced myself and found an arcade. So every year, they have one night, Halloween, you dress up, you could play all the games you want at this arcade for free as long as you have a costume, which was pretty great. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. So I was doing that for a few years, and then the world came to an end, of course. So there goes that one. But yeah, I don't know. As an adult, it really just became watching horror movies for me, where it's like, well, Mom and I will run around the neighborhood wearing masks, just kind of try to maybe brighten somebody's day a bit. She has Minnie ears, and she'd go out, and the kids around the neighborhood call her Minnie Mouse, and they still call her that even outside of Halloween because they just remember that. So things like that will do, but it really is kind of slower as well.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice wee memory, isn't it? Just to still partake, even if you're not going all out. I like that. I like that. So as an adult for me, it's as Sean said, like my mum and dad used to have parties, and I kind of just took on their mantle for a wee while, and I started having my own adult parties, which were really fun. It's totally different, obviously if you trick or treating, but it's just to have that kind of everybody just dress up and just have a drink and just have a party. It's just a nice excuse, isn't it? I think also with everybody just dressing up, there's no there's not no this like, oh, I need to look nice and I need to do this and I need to do that when you're going to a party. It's just like, do you know what? It doesn't matter what I look like. Like that year I was dressed up like Rick. I had like I had like green goo all down like the side of my cheek, like I'd been drilling and stuff like that. Like without my actual wig on and all that, I looked like a pure riot. But it was just like, who cares? You know what I mean? You're just there to have a party. But no, as an adult, it totally changes. Especially with like having a partner and stuff like that, because we're kind of more our traditions now are just as you said. We do that kind of monthly kind of run of horror movies. We always do that as soon as it hits October. It's like, right, this is horror time. And we started to do it with my daughter as well. Obviously, she's not watching like Halloween and all that, but she's like, we've been watching like Casper. We we let her watch Little Shop of Horrors the other day.
That's a great
Um, we let her, so we're kind of doing that with her as well this time, which has been quite nice. Different for us, obviously, because we used like, last year. I think we watched all the Aliens and all the Predators. We were kind of going through quite a horror kind of proper horror kind of thing. But this year it's just be a wee bit different with the kids, which is it's nice. It's still nice. Watched Hocus Pocus about 6 times already, so that's not bad, especially for this episode. I think also where Halloween changed for me, changed for me was when I also had children. Because then you start getting the peer pressure and you have to actually take them out. You go through that stage, you're like, oh, I'm done with trick or treating, and you don't go out for 10, 15 years, and then you have your own children, you're like, oh crap, I need to take them out now. Which I don't like doing it, to be honest with you. I really don't like it. See, when COVID happened and it was like, oh, just stay in for Halloween, I was like, yay. And internally, like, yay. I was like, oh, Orla, we could just give out people trick or treating and you could just eat what you want in the house and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is perfect for me. I love this. But it is what it is. It's a one night only. You have to push your kind of thoughts down and like, oh, I can't be bothered with this, and just do it for them. Because my mum and dad did it for me, so I'm like, you can't do it for them.
Yep.
But what we've been doing, my big sister lives in this like big, massive estate, and everybody goes. It's like an American Halloween. Like every single house has got Halloween decorations, and they all go mental. So we've been doing that for the last, obviously during COVID we didn't, but we started again last year and we were doing it before that. We've been going to her house for Halloween, and it's just honestly, it's just like your usual, like it's like they say in VET, there's like 700 Waynes in a street. It's brilliant. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
See, like going round here, like I'm not my own bit.
No.
I'm not really that fussed with that. It's totally different. A totally different vibe. Totally different atmosphere. But when you're at my sister's, it's like a pure festival that's going on. It's really great. I thoroughly enjoy that. But that's really it for kind of my adult kind of for Halloween.
Mm.
But if he's got any favourite kind of memories for Halloween, obviously you said the kind of my parties and stuff like that.
I did miss one. It is still partly involved with going to the parties. Obviously, the Jester one I'd done was kind of the kind of first one, and that was pretty fun in that. But we did do another party where me and Gillian had went together, and I had got a costume, and it was what's that? What would you actually call that? Is it?
It's like a Day of the Dead
Aye, that's it.
cowboy, like Mexican cowboy.
Aye, that's it. So it had like a makeup kind of bit. It was like this kind of white kind of latex makeup kind of stuff that was kind of on with
It's like prosthetics.
the kind of dark eyes and stuff like that. And it was quite weird. It was actually like rather than it wasn't like paint. It was literally like you could peel it off, and the kind of memory of like getting ready with Gillian at my mum's and her like having to sit and do all the kind of kind of priming stuff and putting the makeup on and putting the kind of black stuff on my eyes and all that kind of thing like that. That's quite a good memory for me, because it was just one of the things where it was just, I don't know, it was just fun to kind of get ready and have that wee bit of a kind of level up on the kind of costume front, as much as it was like, you know, just a poncho and a hat and makeup. Like, it was still a kind of fun costume to put on. So I think that I'd say, obviously I spoke a wee bit about memories in the last response, but that was something that it just kind of sticks with me, the kind of Halloween memories.
Hoodie, what's your favourite memories of Halloween?
You know what? That's really lovely, Mac. And also, the entire time, I just pictured you look like Ernesto from Coco. Yeah, I think probably my best memory is, as I've mentioned before, we've been on several Disney cruises, and we planned one around going on Halloween. And for years after we stopped doing like twin costumes, because I obviously aged out of that a bit, because it was harder and harder for us to find costumes that twinned besides Thing 1 and Thing 2. We I would dress as Roger Rabbit. It was my favorite character of all time. And I just remember going on that cruise and just every adult. No, I'm 16 at the time, by the way, and every adult on that cruise is like, "Oh, whoa, you're Roger." No kids know this reference. No kids are watching Roger Rabbit, but it was just fun being stopped and seeing, like, I guess people be excited for, you know, some kind of acknowledgement of Roger, and I think that always makes me happy, at least, because anytime, man, with that Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie that came out this year, dropped that trailer and they were like, "We're doing the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit." I lost my freaking mind. Like, whoa. So I think that made me really happy, just to see how many people loved Roger Rabbit just in general, even if it wasn't about me, just to know that people are out there loving that. And I think that's probably a highlight. Other than that, going to Disneyland at Halloween was always a blast. Man, it's, if you ever do Halloween, you know, once in your life, you gotta do it at Disneyland, because they go all out. They have like a haunt party. They have the Oogie Boogie Bash, which is really cool, where you get to meet Oogie Boogie. And like, everything's black light, so everything's glowing inside.
Oh, that's nice.
Freaking awesome. They have the Mad Hatter Tea Party, which you go and everybody's on the dance floor and they're playing, like, you know, Thriller and Monster Mash and all that stuff. So yeah, those are probably my highlights, if I had to pick two memories.
Nice.
I love the most.
So my kind of favourite memories for Halloween is kind of doing my pumpkins, especially the last couple of years, because my daughter's been helping me. So it's been really something nice to be bonding over. You know, it's something I used to just do just as myself, and I just was farting about with it. But it's been nice for her to actually help me. It's a nice wee moment that we just have together, and I'm looking forward to do it this year. We've actually already did one. she did it like 3 days ago, and I was like, "Oh, well, that will not last to Halloween." She's like, "Let's just do one." And she obviously looked forward to it, you know. And I'm just like, "Oh, do you know what? Let's just do one." So we just did a normal wee pumpkin face in that one. Nothing.
Aye.
The big guns aren't coming out yet.
That's really sweet, though. So
it's really sweet that she even wanted, because she was like, "Come, we'll do it together," and all that. And I'm like, "Oh, that's cute." Like, she actually like wants to do this. So I am looking forward to, in the next couple of days, I'll be starting to think about my next pumpkins and doing it with her. Also, I think making my own costumes, you know, buying costumes is good and stuff like that, and it gets the same effect. But I think sometimes I've made a few of my own costumes. No, not from scratch. I'm not like sewing them and all that, but like actually going out and trying to find parts. Like, there was one year I did Sweeney Todd.
Oh,
I think it was the year Sweeney Todd came out. Now, you could have went and bought the costume, but I just didn't bother. I just went and bought all these different parts, and I went to like a charity shop and stuff like that, and I bought like a waistcoat. And, you know, and I was a wig. It was supposed to be like the Bride of Frankenstein's hair, and it was like zigzagged all the way down in both sides. And I bought it and I cut it all and shaped it all, so it looked like his head and stuff like that. And then, like, my Rick one that I did as well, that I think that was supposed to be like an anime hair, that I used, and I cut some of it away, so then it would still be like, it obviously had the front bit of the head, so I cut it away so I would still be like half baldy,
Aye.
and
Yeah.
then spike the rest
That's
of the head
great.
up at the back. So that's the kind of stuff. And with the Rick one as well, it wasn't a bot costume. You know, I had a lab coat. I actually had a lab coat because I had it in college. So I had that, and I made the gun myself, literally for like cardboard and like bits of. I think it was a green crayon that I melted. I made like there's got to be glass vial at the top of it. I melted a green crayon inside that. And then I used the rest of the bits of the crayon to look like the buttons and stuff like that. It was really good. I think, see, when you do something like that
Can
and
you
it comes
send me some
off and then you
photos of
use
this?
it.
I'll put it into the YouTube video.
There's I'll get photos of both of them. So I think it's just stuff like that. See, when you actually date yourself and you go to, like as you said, like with Roger Rabbit thing, like you go to the parties and people are like, "Oh, that's amazing! Oh, where did you buy that?" And you're like, "I didn't buy it. I made it. Like, I've just made all this kind of stuff, like just buying whatever."
Oh, that's awesome.
It's such a good, like, gratifying moment. When people like for you just talked about the Rick one a few topics ago. You know, and you're like, "Oh, it was amazing." And you're just like, "Ah, that was." It was so nice to hear that.
Yeah.
And also, once when I was younger, we were going round all the flats as we were. And we got to this flat, and we knew these people. We knew them really well. We were like my mum's pals or something like that. Like, for like when she was young, and we got to their door, and the guy was just coming in for work. And she's like, "Look, don't worry about it, don't worry." And he's like, no, I can't do this. That's your wins and all that. He's like, "I've not actually got it for Halloween." He was like, I'm not doing it this year, but since it's your wins, and he gave me and my sister £2. No, it was one. It wasn't £2 coin at the time. It was £1 coins, so it was £2 he gave. And back, I was only like 7, so you're talking about like
Man.
1998. £2 got you like half the shop back then.
Aye.
I'm telling you,
You've been living high life in the tuck shop.
Aye. I could have just threw the rest of my loot away and be like, "No, it's alright, I'll just take this £2 and just go to the shop tomorrow and get what I want," you know, and I would have hundreds of them. But no, that's a memory that always sticks with me. All the times I've been trick or treating, that's one that sticks with me, because I was like, "Oh my god, I got money." I'd never had money before in my life, and I trick or treating until that moment, and it always sticks with me.
Nice.
So you talked about your favourite costumes, kind of, didn't you, there? And that.
Yeah. I mean, other than the dream of being Baymax one day, just get one of those blow up suits and plug it in, and the fan gets
like a inflatable.
It's like a fat suit, or I just paint myself all white, like just a. I already have the fat suit.
So one of my favourite costumes, and I'll always remember it, was a Viking. And my dad basically made the full thing. I think I had a waistcoat and a pair of trousers, and that was it. But they were just like plain. There was nothing on them.
Aye.
And he totally made this thing. He got like sheepskin and stuff like that, and he like made it like a woolly waistcoat, and he gave me like woolly like. They looked like boots, but they weren't the boots. They were just like, I don't know what they were. They're just like stuff you put on the top of your shoes. But he made this entire costume, this entire Viking thing. He got like a plastic axe, and he painted it so it looked more real. You know, they usually come, they're just like the big black plastic axes. He actually went and painted it all and like made a handle and stuff like that, and he just totally went all out. And it's I don't have a picture of that, unfortunately, because I was asking my mum about this when we were talking about this, and I don't have a picture of it, but I was like, that is probably my favourite costume I ever had, because it was so well done and it was so brilliant. Nice. And then it was just one of the costumes that you just knew, like that my dad basically made, and I was like, I just put so much effort in it, that's one of my favourite costumes that I've ever worn.
Nice. I wish there was photos of that, because I don't get me wrong, the image in my mind is probably kind of good enough, because I know what what your dad's kind of style was, and how he kind of put things together. So that's class. That's a great memory.
Yeah. What are we on to next? Is there any more Halloween traditions that any of you kind of do, like in Halloween night? Like for me, for example, I'll just start this. we always watch Nightmare Before Christmas and Halloween. We've done it for the last 4 years. It's always in Christmas night, always in Halloween night. We always watch Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's kind of what my wife always says. Like, that's the start of the Christmas movies. We also used to watch Hocus Pocus. We've done that for the last 3 years, but we've watched Hocus Pocus already, like as I said, 6 times already. So I will be watching that this year.
You replaced it. I think you replaced it with a different film.
Nah, Nightmare Before Christmas.
I thought you said you watched 2 different films.
Depends if we go it or no.
Right.
Halloween, it's on a Monday this year, so it's got to be a wee bit harder to get 2 films in there.
I suppose we don't really have. I still do what we did when I was younger and turn all the lights off, but nobody comes near the house anyway. Just because what you were saying, and plus obviously, like, over the years, people have been more drawn towards like the kind of bigger houses. So living in like a village and stuff, if there's a fancier estate, then people want to spend their time getting in these houses because they're the ones that are going to have the bags ready and made up and whatever else, because generally it's just of the kind of perception that they would have a wee bit more money, so they would like to prepare for that kind of thing. But that's generally what we kind of tend to do, and I'm not really a traditionalist in the way that we would have, like, we have to watch Halloween films or scary films or anything like that. But plus I'm just generally not the biggest horror fan. I still get scared no matter what we watch when we watch it. So I don't know. I just doesn't. So in the long running segment of me being negative with Halloween, I'll sign off. I'll sign off with that.
I'll have you know, it's not negativity. That's positivity for yourself, though. For yourself. I as a kid, we would go to the pumpkin patch every year. That was our thing. And then as an adult, it became more about me creating my own traditions for myself. Because, I think like yourself, when you get the Halloween season off and you don't have to spend it with kids having to go out and trick or treat, you start to just be like, oh, whew, I could take a break, right? So I wasn't a kid anymore, and Mom could take a break. But other than that, I buy a mask every year, and then we tend to always watch Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. So we'll watch that every year. Other than that, no, not many as an adult. Not many.
It's funny, you always listen to the podcast and they always talk about Charlie Brown. It's just something that we just don't really have here, isn't it? Like, I'm aware that it's been on. But it doesn't seem to be like a big thing here at all. Like, I've heard that about the Christmas one as well. Oh, I need to watch Christmas Charlie Brown. Like, it's just something I've never ever seen in my entire life.
Well, is that the boy who lies on top of the duckhouse?
Aye.
Oh no, don't. I've always seen that in like comic strip form.
Yeah.
Sorry to like totally boil down the essence of your favourite thing today, but
in the back of my head, I was about to actually you, and I was like, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm not going to do this.
He's close enough.
I won't be that person. I mean, Charlie Brown seems to be a big thing here. I know for Thanksgiving, that's even the bigger one that everybody watches. Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, which airs on everything, and Apple owns Charlie Brown now, so you've got Charlie Brown all over, and the Peanuts, they're called the Peanuts, but you can't see it, audience, and neither can Gary or Mac, but I'm currently wearing a Charlie Brown sweatshirt. So
I see it.
Oh yeah. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, that seems to be a big thing here. I don't think I've ever thought of a time where somebody wasn't watching that at any given moment. I mean, we watch all of them, so it's
the dog that lies on top of the duckhouse. No, Charlie.
It is the dog. I was gonna actually.
I'm like, no, hold on a minute.
Snoopy's on the doghouse.
I know Snoopy more than I know Charlie. Me and Snoopy,
Yeah.
I can get to him with Snoopy, but sorry, I had to Google it. That's why my eureka moment wasn't from self-reflection. I just had to do a wee bit of research. That's what you guys were talking about. So I was like, no, I'm fucking right. It does rhyme the thought, but it's the dog. So yeah, sorry. Could I continue?
It's okay. No, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think there's nothing more I can think of for traditions as adult, but yeah, Charlie Brown must just be an American thing. I mean, you all are very aware of the Christmas song that I love singing to everybody in party chat. I spam throughout the month of December, so get ready again.
Is that for Charlie Brown? Is that what that's?
That is from the Charlie Brown Christmas.
I thought you wrote that yourself.
No, I wish.
So, our next part of this podcast, we are going to review Hocus Pocus. So, as we always like to start our reviews, well, I've just started this tradition. I don't know
as we always like it.
So, we're just going to do a wee bit of what I like to call Hoodie's trivia. And Hoodie's just going to slap us with some good old trivia of this movie. So, Hoodie, take it away. Hocus Pocus.
Strap in. I started with what I did for the Disney movies, where I was like, oh, I'll just do the director and the box office and whatnot. And then I was like, you know what? Let's go a little bit further. So I've got 4 fun facts for you guys. Now, the movie, fun fact, didn't come out at Halloween, interestingly enough, because it was released the same year as The Nightmare Before Christmas, and they didn't want them to compete. So the movie came out July 16th, 1993. It was directed by Kenny Ortega, famous for the High School Musical series. If you love those, I think that's even more up our alley for our time. The budget was $28 million at that time, and only made $39.5 million. It was considered a flop, and by today's standards, it would have bankrupted Disney. But yeah, it later on made its money back through DVDs and playing on every channel ever on cable, now that it's, in syndication. Some of the other fun facts that I learned about this movie: Leonardo DiCaprio auditioned for the role of Max, got it, and then turned it down for the role in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. They offered him even more money than he had ever seen in his life, and still denied it.
Wow.
Or declined it. Yeah. I was blown away by that.
Isn't it? I wonder why you would decide to do that.
There's a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he was somewhere along the lines of, at that time, I wanted to be a real actor, and I felt that would have, been it.
You hear that, don't you?
Yeah.
It would be right, because I've never seen this guy in anything else, so...
That's a good point. I've never seen Max Dennison ever again. Wherever you are, Max Dennison, write in. Tweet at Gary Moore. Let us know how you're doing. And if any of the dwellers out there know, leave a comment below. What happened to Max Dennison? Another fun fact, this one specifically targeted at you, Mac. The fountain from Friends can be seen in this movie. It is in a scene where Max is running through a campus area, but it is over to the far left. Yeah, so it's the same location that they shot the theme song for Friends.
Very good. I might need to watch it again just so I can see that.
Yeah. Mrs. Pot from why am I blanking? Beauty and the Beast. She is one costume that can be seen when they get off the bus. And the final one is that this was Disney's first movie to ever use the word virgin. And let me tell you what, it shows.
I don't recall them saying that. No.
Really?
Only every second sentence.
A fun drinking game that nobody should play.
100%. 100%. If there's anybody that's at a party and they want to lose that status, that's the fastest way of doing it, is drinking to every time they say that, because you'll be anybody's by the end of the night.
But that's about it.
Awesome.
That's about it.
So Hocus Pocus, it starts with the old timey kind of scenes. where we first see Thackeray Binks as a man or a boy, even. Sean, fuck this.
No, it's not. No, you have not. I'm going to just keep rolling because it's obviously we keep Google. We obviously keep a Google Doc and stuff, and I thought it'd be best because obviously Gary had posted it to me is to have a quick look over the kind of run a show, and I felt that we should really start with this episode. I had it in my mind that we would really start with that portion of the film in terms of setting the scene of the actual like film itself. I think me personally, like it's really interesting to me. I think they could have done the kind of get out of starting the film in the class, the teacher's telling the story, and the first time you see the witches is when you actually like when they're summoned, if you like.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think they could have done that, and I think that would have been perfectly fine. But there's so many jokes, which we'll get to later. But there's so many jokes and different things that come from just introducing this kind of setting into it to see like where the witches came from and that kind of old kind of timey start to the film that kind of throws you off a wee bit when you first kind of watch it, as much as you wouldn't really be able to remember that because it was such a long time ago for us all now. But when you're putting the film on and you kind of see it's that old kind of English style, like with the way they're kind of speaking and that kind of prim and proper kind of stuff, and it's the kind of nice shots of this village and it's bright and whatever else, and then that kind of sharp contrast right away to the over when they see and the actual kind of witches kind of hut or house or whatever, and it kind of cuts to that and it's all that kind of dark and mysterious kind of stuff, and I just felt that it'd be worth just literally speaking about that and how important that is to me. I think so anyway, because it's, I don't know, it's just one of these initial settings that just allows such good setups for jokes in the future, and obviously I mean when they start off there, I mean it is pretty pantomime, like when they're going around the cauldron to start with, and they really set the tone of some of the things, in terms of obviously witches are known for old the stuff they put, the ingredients that go into their potions, a wart off a toad's back, and stupid things like that, I think it really kind of throws you for a loop that they right off the bat they're kind of like, oh, a bit off thine own tongues, and they bite a bit of their tongue, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I just thought that was like a really good setting to kind of start off the show, or to start off the film.
Yeah, I thought what you were saying to set the tone, it was really great to start in Salem and have kind of that turned on your head version of it, where I think a lot of the time, and I'm not a historian, I don't know much about the Salem witch trials, unfortunately. I wish I did, but setting it there and then putting you in the perspective of the Sanderson sisters, who I'm not about to defend, but imagine living in that time where everybody just hates you for no good reason, right? And like, I think you'd become a little bit bitter, you'd become just a little bit bitter. And I think showing that was really important for their character depth and development over time. I mean, we're not talking about Hocus Pocus 2, but in that movie, I think they fleshed out that a little bit better as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a really good way to start, as well as, like you said, setting up jokes later on that call back to those moments, or even when they're going to be hung, and something about the cat, that joke just got me, where where's our son? Cat's got your tongue. Yeah. Like, that was all of that. And you see the despair in Binks, and like how much he's trying to reach out to his family, so that gives you a sense of who he was and what was happening for for him at that time, later on showing you why he is more cynical when we meet him, 100x years later or whatnot. Yeah, I thought that beginning was really good. And then the snap to where she's telling the story and you're like, oh, that's a really great way. So you know that this was just kind of like lore. You're not set in stone that this is what happened. You're just being told something. Because I think a lot of the time, they'll do a flashback and then cut to modern day and something else is happening. But I like that they incorporated modern time with that. I thought that was really good way to open this movie.
See, when you're talking about the hanging, I had put a note on there, like, it's so weird. Like, if you suspect these three as being a witch, like, why would you let them speak? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's just part of the kind of thing. I feel like that's just what it was. Like, do you have any last words? And that's just typically what it is. But they're like, and obviously they start talking whatever, and they're like, don't listen to them. And you're like, but you fucking invited them to speak, though. So, why would you then do that? So I just
set
think
your honor aside.
It's such a weird thing. And then the only other bit about the start of the film that I thought was really strange is obviously like the witches, like two things. One of the lines that was really funny was that kind of jump back, like she says the line like jump back, and the two of them jump back. Like, I just thought that was so funny. But it was, see, like when you see obviously that his Vince's sister or whatever is sitting there just getting the kind of life force. Like, obviously it's really dated, it's 93, like, so the CGI, the graphics, that's really,
I'll say though, it may
timely.
be dated, but man, it looks so much better than Hocus Pocus too.
Probably right, but I think it just maybe because of expectation more than anything else, for what you could do now, like you really should be doing better, that kind of thing. But like I have no like paid like overly like a lot of attention to like Hocus Pocus, watching it, kind of growing up over the years, and if I'm honest, I kind of forgot that the sister dies like at the very start. And see, just seeing this, like the life force obviously coming out of this kid, and then the camera turns and the camera goes back, and it's not even on her anymore. But seeing this like body like hanging over, like this is supposed to be like this old body, like and like it's a kid's body, but it's like an old, because like grey hair and stuff. And I'm like, that's fucking morbid. That there's just a fucking dead child on this chair now. For like a kid's film. Like, obviously they don't like pan in and stuff. That'd be fucking horrific. But I just think it was quite like a weird thing for, especially obviously for Disney to have that. Like, you think rather than like turning them grey, it would just be like hinted at that it's aged or isn't doing quite well, whatever. But I don't know, I think it's just quite, I don't know, it's just quite funny to me. That's why I wanted to mention it.
Part of me severely, sorry, go.
Coming off of that and talking about like the hanging's pretty
good.
You're coming off two things in the space of like 5 minutes.
Because you just see their wee feet, I think,
dangling.
Perfectly to segue, I miss Disney doing things like this. They used to give no shits about what they were putting in these movies. I mean, Walt, again paraphrasing because I'm not going to get the quote correctly, but he's quoted saying that if you don't show tragedy to children, they don't believe what's happening, right? Like Bambi's mom gets shot in the first 5 seconds of Bambi. Disney had no holds barred with a lot of their stuff, and I think this was one of the last like real. Well, I say that, and then Nightmare Before Christmas comes out a few months later, which is also super dark and like morbid a lot of the time. And I think it's such a richness to that story, and it makes you feel the weight of those characters in that world having things like that, because you're like, the stakes are real. There are real things happening. I mean, later on in the movie when the cat gets run over, oh shit! And you hear the bones cracking as it's like inflating itself. I'm like, Disney really went for it, and I appreciated that actually, because as a kid, I didn't get scared. I could imagine it would scare the shit out of other children, but like, I appreciate it.
Saying that, when Jillian was asking, our nephew, we were asking what he thought of Hocus Pocus, because they were going to, I think they were going to watch Hocus Pocus 2 that night or something. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, she was asking him, and he was like, well, and I just think it was dead satisfying. And she was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he's like, "When the cat like inflates itself, I just found it to be very satisfying, like because of the whole thing, like all kind of thing." So I think maybe they've been a wee bit more desensitized Hoodie. So you probably surprise you these days as they
That's unfortunate.
Something would maybe horrify them. So
talking about the start and talking about the cat, see that boy and it's Thackeray Binks, man. Oh, that acting is terrible. that's one thing me and my wife watch, and he's like, Emily. I'm like, oh, shut up.
I'll tell you what. I think they knew because the voice of the cat is a different actor.
Aye. They got him at a bargain bin and went, just there for 2 minutes on it.
Aye.
There you go.
I think it's just that innocence, but it's just too overplayed, like because it's like that kind of innocence contrast against like what ends up happening, like in the hut and with the witches and whatever else. Like it just, I don't know, it's just that it's really highlighting the time. It's trying to highlight the time, rather than forcing it and saying what kind of time it is. It's just trying to kind of make sure that they over emphasize how people would speak back then. But I agree with you. It's not. It could have been done a lot better.
Yeah. Well, also,
you go ahead.
Meeting the Sanderson sisters is so well done, where you get each individual personality from them, where they're so different, and they play off like the archetype of Three Stooges so well. It's so well done that it's like, oh man, I think they almost do it better than the Three Stooges. Like there's bits of the Marx Brothers, there's bits of the Three Stooges, and all of that plays so well with all of them, and their aesthetic and the way each of them look is really well done, and the way they're introduced, so like this one's a little bit bubbly. this one's a little bit more off her rocker. Like things like that I thought was really well done as well. So also Sarah Jessica Parker, what an awakening for young Hoodie. Just truly brilliant in this. Truly brilliant.
One of the best quotes I think for this entire film happens in the first 10 minutes, and it's when Winifred goes to the window and opens the window and goes, "What a glorious morning! It makes me sick." Me and my wife say that like throughout the entire year. Like we'll just quote that. I absolutely love that quote, and I think it's like one of the best jokes in the full entire movie.
I think just always segueing into your kind of next point on the thing, like, in terms of speaking about the sisters, the somewhat main characters. I feel like I think just when you mentioned Winifred there, I honestly firmly believe that she makes the full film. I don't think you could have all three of them being. It's obviously Hoodie touched on that in terms of the individuality between them. Like, I don't think you could have them being any different combination. I think you need that kind of leader at the front, but it still has that kind of ludicrous nature to them. I think collectively they're probably the most kind of interesting bit about the film, for the way they walk to. Are they different segments that I mentioned earlier about those jokes that they played that kind of has that. It only works because you've seen the start and seen where they've come from. Like as soon as they come back, obviously, and we'll touch on Max later, but he obviously plays that joke with them, or plays that trick on them with the fire. The water coming on, and I think that's just hilarious that they're like, oh no, and it's just that over dramatic thing, and then you get the whole kind of point where it's that they come to the road and they've never seen they've put in a road before, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's a deep river!" And they push one of the other sisters on like to try and like test it, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's a road, it's a path, whatever." And they're like, "Right, off we go!" And then the fire engine comes towards them, and it's just that stop, pause, and they run away. And they freak out. Like these only work because you've seen that kind of contrast between them, and the amount of times that they get fooled by the modern stuff. Like it doesn't get old. Like even obviously near the end, you've got that. They're like, "Oh look, the sun's coming up. It's too late," and they've just turned the car lights on. They're like, "Oh, oh no!" And it's just they obviously drives away. They're like, "Oh, we've been fooled again." Like it's just, I just think it's all of those things like pay off so well. Because you've seen them, and as Hoodie says, like the individuality about the three of them, especially I can't remember. Is you've written them down, but is Mary the bubbly one?
That's Sarah.
Oh right, okay, right. So Sarah's my favourite one.
Yeah.
Like so, I mean, when he makes it right, makes it you can't have it without her. But Sarah just like that kind of like I don't know, like lost puppy almost. Like just all she wants to do is please, and just do everything that she can to make sure that like she's doing things the right way, whatever. But some things that she maybe comes away with you like, right, just you stay quiet for a wee while because one is going to end up giving you the backhand if you keep pointing at some of these stuff.
My favorite joke in the entire movie is involves Sarah, where the little girl dressed as the angel comes up to her and she goes, "Bless you," and Sarah just starts screaming. So good.
It's class. That's class. I really enjoyed that. It's funny, like, and Sarah's obviously the one that classic joke with the Hoover, when they're trying to look for the brooms.
Yeah.
They've stolen the brooms, and she's like, "Oh, are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, just come on, we need to get after them." And she's out there with a vacuum hoover. So I thought it was just funny that they have so many different kind of key points. I mean, obviously talking about them collectively, but I think when you speak about them, you have to obviously talk about the Sanderson house, the house itself. I actually thought that the kind of set design for that house, both in the past and in the kind of present, like really, I think it's a kind of step above like some of the other kind of scenes that they kind of set up. I think that they really capture that old kind of timey vibe to it. But when it comes to like switching over to like a museum, they really kind of they kind of have that. Don't get me wrong, there's too many for me. There's like far too many. It's like ridiculous volumes of cobwebs that they've got kicking about as if nobody's ever been in it for 300 years. But I just thought like I wrote as one of the notes, it was excellent set design because I just think it was a good a good level that they put in it.
Yeah, I think, as you said, like having the house, as you see it, and I don't know when it's supposed to be set the first, but like say like the 1800s, 1700s, and then they just change it, but it's like it's a museum, so they don't really need to change it apart from put a extra few wee bits and pieces in it. It's really smart to do that. And as you said, the house is just a character as well with all its stuff, cauldron, etc. Obviously the black candlelight that Hoodie's not to light. But
listen to me here. All right. Okay. They use. I don't condone people using the word virgin to bully people. Let me tell you what. By the end of this movie, I definitely thought Max was a virgin loser, and as a self-proclaimed virgin myself, I would have never been as stupid as this man. He is so dumb in this movie. Everything he does is flippantly irrational. None of it. Danny is so great. She's a great character. She thinks things through. She's smart. She's tenacious. She's out here getting things done, and she has to deal with this idiot older brother the entire movie. It's like, go light the candle. Good job. Good job. Good job.
That's what I kind of wrote on that point there. I was like, why would you take that risk to light the candle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really, you've just heard the story. Like, what you try to, do you know what I mean? Like, you've literally just heard the story, and then, you know, you go and light the candle. But I think there's just so many different things to speak about. But I did put a note there, just obviously mentioning about Thackeray Binks, the cat. Do you not think that it's a wee bit kind of strange? Like, obviously when they're in the Sanderson house, and the cat shows up, like, I thought that maybe Alison would have, I don't know, like, made some sort of remark about that, the fact that there was this cat, like, there, because I'm sure the cat comes in, like, to stop. It does make an attempt at stopping them from lighting the candle. I was like, so.
Yeah.
Given how, like, popular this story was, and all that kind of stuff, like, you would think somebody would have been like, hold on a minute, is that,
Yeah.
like, surely that's no, you know what I mean? I don't know, but for me, if it was like such a renowned story, you would be I think you would have to put two and two together there.
They just listened to this story like 2 hours ago too. It's not like they were, a year removed from hearing it the last time. I don't understand. I mean, I like the part where he lights and he goes, "What's happening?" And she goes, "You're a virgin." Like, that's all you need to summarize what's wrong with this guy.
Honestly, like, you're right. See, when he likes it though, I thought it was quite funny. They definitely, like, obviously went, they went hard on the whole kind of Disney nature of, like, the when they light that candle, and then there's that kind of sequence of the lights going out. I thought that was really class. The lights going out, it's just and the lights are going out, but then obviously the floorboards, like, start moving and stuff like that, and it's like, this has clearly been, like, marketed for, like, a future feature at Disney here. That's definitely what it was, like, marked at that point.
Yeah, I think also, so going back to that lore thing, it's kind of one of the things. But into it, I mean, we've all watched Candyman before, and how many people have said Candyman into their mirror?
I know. What a catch me doing that.
It's one of the things that you just you think to yourself, it's just a story, isn't it? I'm just going to just be cheeky. I'm just going to be cheeky and try it out. And also, he's trying to impress Alison as well. He's trying to be like, "Oh, look at me! Look how cool I am."
This guy's toxic masculinity.
Exactly.
Yes, 100%. The only thing he's got going for him is his room. His room is absolutely cracking when he has that the wee stair that goes up and whatever. Like, I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah,
his room, I did clock that. To be fair, that's about the only thing Max has gone for him whatsoever.
Yeah, honestly, nothing else. Nothing else for this guy.
No, 100%. And I know that of the list of the characters that we were looking to speak about, we'd not mentioned them, but his run-in with the two bullies, honestly, like, they two, I don't know what made them, who designed these two, and Jay and Ernie, or Ice or whatever. but if you were Max, like, you would just, for me anyway, like, just swing a punch at one of them. Like, you know what I mean? They're so juvenile and the way that they come across. Like, just take them out, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know if it's just me. And they take his shoes off him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
trainers.
One of the best moments is, "My name isn't Ernie anymore. It's Ice." It's like one of the most 90s things in this entire movie is something as stupid as that. But then immediately followed by that, they mug him for some cross trainers. And I'm like, never mind, this movie just got 90s again. Okay, it's even more. It topped itself.
Wait, Ice thingied into the back of his head.
Yeah.
Aye, strange.
It was just the one Vanilla Ice song.
Aye.
So, I think the other characters we're going to talk about is obviously who they mentioned already, Danny, the wee sister.
Favourite character.
Yeah,
I really like her as well. She's the wee sassy sister, isn't she? That's she plays off everybody so well. Aye. she's got brains. She knows that Max has just been an absolute idiot throughout the entire movie, and she's not scared to call him out in front of anybody.
Oh, 100%. I love that line where he's when I think she's the Alison comes in, whatever, and he's like, he loves your yabos. Like, it's so funny, man. He's like, what? Like, oh, no way. She has some of the best lines. I don't have them written down, but she has some of the best lines in the movie. It's who they says she's just one of the she's one of the characters that definitely stand out. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think it's weird though. Like obviously, we're probably going to Alison at some point. But do you know? I think it's a wee bit odd. Like when they go to our house. Obviously, they visit the house kind of first. They don't know it's Alison's. And they go into the house and it's like, what, you kind of like, what is going on here? It's like this kind of rich person's house, whatever. And then it's like, oh, we have these themed parties or whatever. It's such a weird party to have, like this old English kind of party, like
like masquerade ball.
Aye, it's just a bit kind of weird. But they have like all these treats and stuff. But it's like, I think the weirdest thing that I wrote down was, why is nobody else visiting that house? That house must be like prime, it'd be like prime. Like people would be like literally like going to that house, like what Hoodie says that he did back in the day. Like that was the first house that you would go to. Like why would that not be the first house that you would go to? Like,
that house gives out raisins. I guarantee you, that's the house.
Oh no, there's a big bowl of sweeties there.
Believe them. In those sweeties, more raisins.
Do you know what? That actually, you might be right. You might be right. It's weird. I think I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about the sisters. Just in terms of when they're talking about the spells and stuff like that. I think obviously it's Disney and you do come to expect it, but see the kind of poetry kind of side of what the spells are. Like I find like some of that, again, I didn't write them down, but I find some of that to be really, really interesting and like so catchy in terms of that. But I also missed out on one of my favourite bits with the sisters is when they come across the devil. When he's at, they're like, he obviously comes to the door, whatever, and the three of them see him, and they obviously all turn into each other, and they're like, "Master!" and they all run towards him. Like, that's like some of the best. Some of the best sequences.
The husband and wife played brilliantly.
Oh, so good.
Penny and Gary Marshall, both brother and sister in real life.
Nice.
So great. They're both famous directors and actors, and they do such a great job being that couple that's just over it. But one of them's like teetering. One goes way too hard on Halloween, and she's just over it. Like, I don't want. I've got my curlers in my hair. I'm done for the night. I don't want this.
What the hell is going on? And he's like, "Oh, you call me Master." Like, "Oh, bloody Master, you." He's clearly like pure overly chuffed with himself that these people are like paying him any kind of attention. It's absolute madness.
I also thought this movie did so well at catering to adults and like the humor in there for adults a lot of the time, because it isn't like a bunch of fart jokes like you would get in most 90s kids movies, where it was. Yeah, I thought it was smart. I thought a lot of the humor, I was like, oh man, I find this funnier now than I probably would have as a kid.
Same.
Like a lot of the stuff with Gary and Penny Marshall, where they are like arguing over these adult things and like sexual innuendos and all of that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they call me Master like that. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't get that today. I mean, I wouldn't have got that back then, but I get it today. Or like, I mean, even like the bus driver where he's like steering he's steering that bus with a heart on the entire time. Like that's just him. Like, he's just driving that bus along. I'm like, man, that you know what?
Makes a sexual joke as well, does he know? It's
not
like a joke where she says something like, "Can I hop on?" You say something like, "One at a time" or something like that. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, like that.
I never picked up on that.
This guy is shown in harassment videos at work now. That's how bad he like. Like, it was very adult, and I was like, man, as a kid, I would have never gotten this. So watching it now is I think a better experience than it was when I was a kid.
Definitely. Do you know? I think saying that, I think like this as a child is more like a kind of my first horror
Yeah,
experience, whereas an adult, as you said, you're getting a pure comedy side of it.
Aye. I think as Hoodie says, there's obviously like different. You view it differently, and for the most part, there is like we extra jokes, like similar to what we've said before on the podcast about like Simpsons and stuff, like where you pick up on different jokes depending on your kind of age or whatever. But there is a few things that I made note of where I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird. Obviously, Banks, if we jump ahead a wee bit in terms of the story, obviously becomes. He can pass on whatever and becomes the boy again, and then goes up to Emily, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." Binks to Emily, come back, and he goes over to Danny's like, "I shall always be with you," kind of thing. He's obviously he's been a pet for 3 days or whatever it is, or a day or whatever. A day, sorry, it is a literal day. And I don't know. In this modern day now, you're like, oh, that's a wee bit odd, like, because this is a wee lassie. You've just said that you always be with. I don't know. It's just a bit weird.
yeah.
It's just a wee bit weird for me, anyway. A wee bit weird, but
the context.
Yeah,
the context of that, but also you're treating him like he's a cat. I know he's a cat, but he's a human. Like, you're giving him milk. First of all, if you give cat milk, they shit everywhere, so don't give him milk. But like, why are you treating him? Oh, you could be our family, but he's an immortal human being. He's in a cat's body, you guys. I feel like we're missing that.
So, they definitely gloss over that. That's for sure. Yeah. But some fine moments in the film. But Gary, you've obviously put down there before we go anywhere near any kind of plot and all that nonsense. The last kind of character and Billy Butcher. Something tells me you may have an affinity to Billy Butcher or some sort of liking to Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher's brilliant in this film. He's a silent character for most of the film. And most of his appearance in the film, and he just does it so well. That actor, I don't know his name, I didn't write it down, but
Doug. He's like in everything. He plays Abe in Hellboy. He's just
he's in it. He's in a lot of horror stuff, isn't he? Like a lot of costume stuff. He's just he just does that so well, and only be able to talk. Like, see when he sees Winifred, and she's like, go get him, and he's like. It just grunts at her, and you see his total expression in his face. He's like, you like you can just literally see in his face what he's saying. He's a brilliant character.
Doug Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I just had to go up for you, but I thought you're right. I think obviously the whole kind of typical segment where he kind of loses his head and whatever else. Like it's still funny, like even though you see it coming or whatever, it's an easy joke, but it still plays off. Pretty well for me, I think.
A lot of the animatronic work too, of how they made things work at that time, especially like the VFX for this movie is so well done. Like when his fingers get crushed in the manhole, and just the one finger is still wiggling. And you just hear him as he's just so depressed in the well. Like, oh, it's so well done. He does such a great job. I mean, a lot of the special effects of this movie are really well done and creative how they use them, I thought.
and see when he ends up opening his mouth. I don't know if it's a knife. I don't know what he uses, but he finally opens his mouth and then he turns round and Winifred's there and he just starts giving her pelters. He just starts calling her like a trollop and all that. He's like, yeah, buck tooth trollop, and just gives her a little stinking. He's like, I never loved you. It was your sister and all that. One kiss I gave you, and like just pure giving it stinking.
I love that. That's so good. That's one of the kind of highlights of the film. I think when he finally gets his voice, but I did enjoy. He's equally delivered these lines with it's pretty funny, man. That was good.
Do you
All
know
that
one character? Sorry, there you go, today.
Well, playing into more of Billy Butcher, all of that being practical effect, like the moths when they fly out of his mouth, those are real moths. It's not
Really?
CG or anime. Yeah, like all of that is so creative and well done. I was like, wow,
nice.
I see where the 28 million went. Like they did a great job.
Having to sew his head back on, that must have been quite a complicated surgery.
See one character we do brushed on was Alison. I actually think she is probably one of the most like throwaway characters in this entire thing. I think you need her, but I also think, I don't know if it's the actress or whatever, but it's somebody that I wrote this list and I actually forgot to even include her. That's how forgetful I think she is.
I only think that I wouldn't say you needed her. I think in terms of for the makeup of the film back then, in terms of it's a film like you have to have a drive for Max to
stop being a virgin loser.
I think you have to have maybe a story for Max. I think you need to play into he's trying to be cool. I think that's why they introduce the whole, the two boys that steal his trainers or whatever. Like, he's over it already. Like, he's done. He's over it. He's just all he wants to do is go and see Alice and whatever else. So they have that kind of old kind of thing of boy, try to chase after the girl. But I think that you could have got away with having the film like with it completely, and just had it as a kind of brother, brother sister kind of thing. I don't think she I don't think she really adds anything to the film.
Yeah, she just comes off as like milk toast. Like it's just so bland. There's just nothing there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like what?
Milk toast. Just plain nothing.
Milk toast?
Yeah.
Alright.
Just dip your toast into milk.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Have you heard that?
White bread. Just white bread.
I've heard it before, right?
Like milk toast? That's
white
two
bread.
different things.
Just plain bread.
Yeah.
Oh, the colour?
Yeah.
Right. Alright, okay, right.
Because if I said toast, she could be wheat, But I don't think she's
wheat.
that flavorful.
Yeah.
She's milk toast.
Not. She's milk toast. That's it. I'll start using that now.
I
think one character or object, I suppose, we need to talk about is book.
Oh my god. Let me tell you what.
Who do you go first? But I have something that it's just like, there you go. You go.
Okay. This will be real quick because this was my biggest complaint of the movie. Every single person knows what this book is made out of. They all touch it, they hold it, they caress it, they feel it, they carry it around. Some of them are about to kiss it. It's made out of human skin. Every single one of them reacts completely normal. Like this is just an everyday fucking object. Why aren't any of them disgusted? I think by the end of this movie, I was proven right. They're all serial killers. Each and every one of them. They're all insane psychopaths. I don't understand why nobody reacted to a book made out of human skin. They say it in the movie. I couldn't get over that.
It's funny. I've obviously I put a thing on here near the very end when he opens and shouts at it's Gary chimed in there the book. There you go. And she's like, make thyself known, and the book makes itself known to her, and I'm like, how could she not have done that near the start? Do you know what I mean? I don't, because they're looking for the book. Honestly, they're like, I don't know where the book is. And you're like, you do? You know how to shout it? Honestly, I think it's just bizarre, but it was. I did enjoy it as a character because I think as a character as well, it does play into the story quite well. But the single eye, like it's such a a kind of creepy side of it, I think it's a good choice to put it as a single eye rather than like two eyes. It would have came off a lot differently, but that single eye where it's the kind of idea of the lock, I think it's pretty good. Quite enjoyed it.
See, when I seen this when I was a child, this was the thing that creeped me out of this film, was that book. It
no
creeped
wonder.
me so much, man. I just, as who do saying, like they're actually saying it like it's a book made of skin, and I was like, oh my god, that is like, how more creepier can you get?
Yeah.
As an adult, I think it's quite funny, but book. I can't love book. It's so cute.
Yeah. Also, I'm really glad it doesn't talk. I like that.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Every movie would have gone the fourth mile to be like, oh, you know what? Let's make this thing talk. They just stopped at third, and they were like, you know what? It has an eye. It clearly has a personality, but we don't need it to talk. I was happy about that.
I don't know how to go into this plot, Sean.
That's fine.
Plot. Oh wait,
there we go. Everybody. I think the kind of best way to approach the plot, like for me, anyways, the general idea is that they're trying to get, they're trying to get kids, basically, context, right? But they're trying to get kids so that they can extend. Obviously, they're back, but it's come to light that they're only going to be back for that night, that day, whatever. So the sun comes up, that's it, they're done. But if they extend they can extend their life by absorbing, the souls of children, whatever. I thought it was quite a nice touch. Just diverting a wee bit by, obviously every film has to have a kind of trope as to how can we get the adults out of here? How can we distract the adults? We need a purpose for the adults. And I just thought, like, the whole, getting the dance, like, they make reference to it a couple of times, like, oh, we need to go to the dance, whatever. And that's just where all the adults are going. And it's very of its time in terms of, it's not something that would have happened any time, recently. Kids are always, accompanied by the adults as they go around, especially in films as well, and TV shows as you kind of grow up, you see that as well. But back then, it's portrayed as if the kids are just running around their cul-de-sacs, running around their neighbourhood between the houses. So the adults are just away doing their own thing. And the fact that whole segment, that whole scene of them being in there, and they go and try and find the mum and dad, and it cuts to, the dad's there and dad's grooving, and it's just like totally kind of a character, and it cuts to the mum, and the mum's got the her costume on, and it's like, Mum, like, what are you even supposed to be? It's like Madonna, like, no, it's that kind of that kind of bit, and obviously that, I think that brings us on to like one of the most famous, notorious, whatever, parts of the film, and the witches being brought onto the stage, and obviously they're using I put a spell on you, and I obviously know, we know that this song. The song is just is completely notorious, especially synonymous with this film. But it still hit different. See, when I was watching it, I haven't watched the Hocus Pocus for a wee while, but see, listening to that and seeing it build up, like, you did feel that you were watching like a proper musical, for how kind of key that was, to do that. And obviously it's setting up the whole, like, they can't move, they're just going to dance fucking forever.
Well, I think this was so well done because Kenny Ortega is a famed choreographer, so like that musical number is probably the best part of the movie. Like, cinematically, it was really well done, and it shows like where his talents were really found and lied. So I love that entire sequence, but it is a great way to, like, okay, we need, let's put that. they're gonna stand here, and then, to end the movie with them all coming out, it is a good way in the end credits. It's like,
well, I put a note on that, tip for that, because I was like, they're dancing and none of them have even like thought to question like why they were dancing like all the full night. Like, do you know what I mean?
Till
Like,
7 in the morning.
Yeah.
you know, it just seemed to be that kind of like, oh, we were just, oh, it was such a great night. We were dancing the full night away. Like, it was, I don't know, it just seemed like it was one of those weird, obviously it's just one of the weird movieisms in it, but I don't remember the full sequence of events. I know that happened, obviously, the setting up and the spell and whatever else. I know they obviously, capture, they're trying to kind of set them up, and they choose to go to the school to try and set and capture the witches. I thought there was a good few kind of neat jokes in there in terms of when the witches are figuring out like what that is. They're like, it's a place for children. It's like, it's a prison for children. It's quite funny like how they kind of set that up. But was it only me that thought it was weird that in a school in the basement they have a furnace that size, big enough to fit 3 people and change? And like,
I was right there with you. I was like, listen, I was homeschooled, but I did some classes in a real school. I'll tell you what, they didn't have a fucking furnace.
It's pretty brutal as well, because they obviously they put them in and then they turn it on and it's like that's it, they're toast. They're getting burnt to a crisp. So it's a bit of a strange.
I think that's the school that Freddy Krueger used to be in.
Aye. That's the kind of thing that you would see that in as an old thing like that. So obviously they think they've won. They'll go away to chillax and go back to Max's awesome room. And you're like, all right, okay, everything's good, and then it just cuts back again, and the witches are all right.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised though that in that moment, right? Why didn't they had an opportune moment? Mary, her hair does a little swirl thing. It would have been great if she had a little tiny flame at the end, and then Sarah just went up and then extinguished the flame with her 2 fingers and went.
Aye, that would have been a good setup. Aye,
because I thought that would have been a good joke. At this point, we're reaching levels of cartoon between the inflating cat and them surviving being toasted. Like, well, why not just go the extra mile?
Exactly. That's the fun bit about it.
Yeah. Well, even circling back to like the dance, I thought at the end of the night when they're doing the credits and they're coming out, how horrible is it going to be for that janitor when they go in there and they just see shit everywhere, just piss and shit just covering the whole dance floor because every single one of these people were dancing for about 7 hours and had to use the restroom at some point,
There's a bit of realism coming in there for that, but it was funny. I mean, it's strange the whole the dancing part, and then they kind of go, right, that's them. That's the adults dealt with. You never see none of them. Every single adult went to that party. Like nobody pulled out. Every one of them went.
The kids killed the Sanderson sisters, and then they just go home.
Aye,
just like you said, it's all over. Let's go chillax. And they're
might as well link arms and like skipped on the way home.
They forgot about the parents. They're totally fine carrying around this book made out of skin. They've got the cat that talks to them, and it's totally everything's normal and fine. It's all good. Let's go play some video games.
They can't find the book. Somehow can't find the book. Until fucking moron Max does his usual and opens the fucking thing. Or is it Max or is it Allison? One of the two.
No, it's Max because he's an idiot, right?
Aye, so funny Max.
Oh, what's the problem now? Right? They're dead. What'll it do?
So he opens the book and they obviously figure out where they've got a hope in hell for some reason. I don't know how they don't have a hope, but anyway, they don't have a hope in hell, and somehow they open the book, and that's how they manage to track down the location of the book. They need the book to be able to create the potion because they forgot how to make the potion. So They need the book.
Yeah.
The only potion they've ever made, and they forget how to make it. So they need to go and hunt them down. So they go, and Max and Alison have fell asleep, and we've got Danny and Banks has been kidnapped. Now I'm a wee bit hazy on catnapped, correct? A wee bit hazy on the rest of how like it actually gets absolved. I know that it's in the kind of graveyard kind of setup. I don't know. Does Billy play a part in that as to how they kind of start getting the better of the witches? I know the sun comes up, and that's how they.
I feel like I'm conflating Hocus Pocus 1 and 2 because there's a graveyard.
That's funny because I just literally just did the same thing. I was literally just thinking, I'm thinking of Hocus Pocus 2. I'm thinking,
yeah. I can't remember if Billy's there.
I think it's there.
Okay,
I'm sure he is.
Aye, I'm not sure. I'm not sure myself. But effectively, obviously they go back to try and save and get back the. Obviously, it goes in. I know that they go back and they're trying to get the life force, back out. I think that how they save them is that's how they do the light. It's the light, for the car, but that's when they do that joke.
Yeah.
They go back and inside the hut is the two boys because they've run into them, so they are in the cages, stuck for some reason, and then obviously they have the sister tied up, and he manages to save her again.
You say the boys are in the cages for some reason, but it's because they said, "Why do only the ugly chicks come out?"
That's that. I forgot all about that.
They were rightfully in those cages,
That's true.
You're right.
They put themselves in there. By the way, how brutal is it when they go, okay, we've killed them, let's run, and they go, please save us, and Max is like, no. No. And they commit to it. They never save them.
No, they don't.
Do you think at the end of the movie they go back for them, or do you think they just
leave them in the credits?
Cage?
They're in the credits. They're swinging from the cages still.
They're still there. They're still there to this day. I think they were singing. They were singing at the end.
Right? Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
I don't remember what they're singing, but they've definitely perked up a wee bit. But yeah, we've obviously missed a beat in there as to how they actually get to come back. But I believe it's either something to do with the. Obviously, they've managed to delay them long enough. The sun comes up, and that's how they're starting to get put kind of put back or whatever. And then once they are the witches are dead, obviously then Thackeray's soul is free. So what I was wondering though is like they died before when they get hung. Why is his soul not free at that point then?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If that's the rule, I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, let's no tell Disney, right? Because maybe they might talk about.
Unfortunately,
that's what I thought.
Well, unfortunately, when they do die and he's human again, it is that actor, and we do have to have him back. There were cons. There were cons to killing the Sanderson sisters, and that was it. Having that actor come back.
It was odd, and obviously, so like I mentioned earlier, he does that kind of. It's the kind of 90s, films, kind of cheesy stuff, where he obviously delivers that line to saying to him, I shall always be with you, and it's again that weird creepy voice, and then they do the whole kind of weird waving, big kind of waving kind of thing, and then delivering that line, 300 years for a virgin to light a candle, like it's the final kind of virgin joke in the film. Only 5 or something like that they used, very very sparingly. I did have a wee bit of a kind of deep kind of thing. I don't even know how even slightly accurate this would be. I did make a kind of link. Just this is completely uneducated, but I never looked this up either. I feel like there's maybe a wee bit of kind of symbolism there with the gates, the big gates. I thought there's maybe a kind of St Andrews kind of gates. That I don't know. It's not St Andrews. Sorry, the kind of gates where it's like moving on to the afterlife type thing.
Yeah.
So obviously that's like a kind of
St.
symbolism.
Peter.
St Peter, thank you. St Andrews is fucking patron saint of Scotland, and that's what I wrote. I wrote that down because we raise charity for them, money for charity. Sorry, but St Peter's Gates. I thought that was maybe what it was kind of maybe hinting to, because that's what they kind of pass through to. But and then obviously and Hoodie's mentioned the credit scenes already in terms of the dancing and these two fucking idiots singing. But the very last part is obviously the book waking up, with the kind of eye coming back, which I thought was pretty good. And obviously we've got the sequel now, but I think back then it was maybe they probably planned on having a sequel a lot sooner, but given what Hoodie told us at the start of the podcast, it was probably due to the performance that they've not touched it for 20 ish years, 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, imagine coming out with a Halloween film in July.
When I read that, I was like, oh man, there has to be a reason, because this is the stupidest marketing move I have ever seen from a Halloween movie. You know what? Good reason, though. It was Nightmare Before Christmas, and I do think that was more successful for them all around.
That's strange, isn't it? It's a strange thing. It's amazing. It's amazing to think how much a cult this film is. Looking back now, like regardless of what you think of the second one, to think like 20 something years, 25 something like that years since then, and I mean, I don't know a person that doesn't like this film for a film that didn't do well for Disney standards.
It's a big. I was really surprised hearing that. Honest.
Yeah, well, it is also such a relevant thing for Disney now, where Disney has just embraced this movie retroactively. Like, oh no, we love this movie; it's great. Because even at Oogie Boogie Bash this year, they had the Sanderson sisters be the main performance. Like, they were the show this year, and things like that. And there's a lot of merchandise during Halloween now for them, and I think it does play into, like, Wizard of Oz was a big flop, Fight Club big flop, and now they're just so ingrained in our minds as like these classic, everyone loves them, they've always loved them kind of thing. And it is interesting what time does, similar to like what we were talking about with video games earlier. What does nostalgia do for something? Can it make it live or die? So.
Yeah. It's funny because you were talking about Disney and you started rhyming off the things. I'm like, Disney done Fight Club? Like, because we were talking about things that like these films going flop. Honestly, for like a minute, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's a strange thing for them to make back then. Like, obviously they make everything new, but back then I'm like, no, hold on a wee minute here. He must be wrong. I fair dues.
They wanted to disrupt the established order.
Yeah, for sure.
So have we got any other last favourite moments for Hocus Pocus?
Yeah, I got one. One of my favourite moments in any movie, all of them, where the person in the movie says the name of the movie. And I love how he reads this line off, like similar to like Will Smith in Suicide Squad, where he's like, "What is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad?" He's like, "What is this? Hocus Pocus." And I laughed so hard at that. I like when movies do that. They did a great job here. Peter Griffin gif of him just pointing at the screen.
I love that. I don't think I've got very many that I've not already kind of brought up. I think the best jokes again is the ones that pay off that twist, which is why I wanted to introduce that to the start of the podcast or the start of the segment, because I don't think they do work without you seeing what they were like back then. I think everything about the sisters and their interaction with each other, from how they collectively say the the spells when they're doing the kind of main spell, and they're kind of working their way through that or whatever. And then obviously the kind of jump back kind of lines and stuff. But I think the best ones for me is like I've already said, the whole river and running away through the fire and the fire engine or whatever that was, and then the whole rain of fire, or was it burning rain of death? The burning rain of death, and you just like lighting a fire up to set kind of water on them, and they're freaking out. Like, I think that's my kind of favourite bits.
But I'm just going to go with just what you kind of said there with sisters. I know it's a bit as if how's that a favourite bit, but just anytime the sisters are together and just talking together is just most entertaining part of the movies. For like Max and stuff like that being also like main characters, but are also kind of like secondary characters in this for the entire movie. It's the sisters that are the main characters, which is strange because they were the villains as well.
Aye.
Also, something I really like about the sisters is they're villains, and they don't they don't Disneyfy them towards the end.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're villains right to the end, and that's they're only out to get one thing, and that's it. There's none of this "I'm going to be a good guy" crap at the end.
It's so good.
But as I say, the sisters are just the absolute. It just makes this film, and it just even their banter between each other. If they're this matter what they're doing, if Winifred's like shouting at Sarah, tell her to shut up or whatever, so it's just anytime they're on, that's always a good time to be had.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more note, and this plays off of what Max said for set design. The entire movie, and you know what, they put in a lot of hard work, and I'm not gonna shit on their work, but the entire time I thought, these are the worst jack-o'-lanterns. I wish Gary had carved them. I wish Gary had done all of the pumpkins in this movie, every single one of them, because they were all bad.
I can't actually say I've ever noticed. I never really looked at any of them, to be honest with you.
There's one that's a witch, and it's just painted green with like lopsided eyes and like a thrown-on mop hair, and I'm like, oh, come on.
You're probably watching it tomorrow anyway, Gary. I'm sure you'll pick them up at that point.
You just know somebody for that set design, they just literally got delivered like 200 pumpkins. And they're like, right, you need to do something with these, and they're just like,
yeah. Exactly.
So that was our Hocus Pocus review. I hope we did it well. Sean saved me for drowning for a wee moment there. So thanks very much, MrMac, for jumping in there. So last week we were talking about holidays in episode 9. So after listening to it, I came up with a wee question. So my question is, Hoodie, you told us about going camping, but we all want to know, does a hoodie shit in the woods?
It's like if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't even make a sound.
Hoodie definitely makes a sound.
Thankfully, there. Yeah. It's just a big old. Thankfully, every campground I've ever been to had on-site restrooms. So yeah, Hoodie takes a shit, but not in the woods.
I was going to follow that question up, but since you don't do it, fair enough.
What was the follow-up? I want
to know what is the etiquette for pooing in the woods. Is there some sort of etiquette?
I'll tell you what. You have to bury it.
You're absolutely right, because my grandpa taught me that. He said you always take a shovel, you dig up, you bury 2 feet down, you bury it underneath, because otherwise it'll fuck somebody else. You don't want to do that. So
2 feet, that's some measurement, isn't it? What if you're desperate?
You're desperate.
I think the idea is to take the shit and then dig the hole. You put it in there.
It's funny, me and you went the same way. I would have thought you had to dig it first.
Dig the hole and then shit into it. That's what I thought.
Pure turtle feeding.
The targeting your asshole has to have for that. Don't miss.
Oh, dear. You do some. Your squat's got to be on point. That's what.
Yeah.
Right, that's enough shoveling shit.
That is enough shoveling shit. Good job. What a cap to an excellent episode. And honestly, truthfully, like I'm chuffed to bits that this was the episode that we chose for yourself to host with, because it was obviously that Halloween vibe to it. It's no easy doing the hosting role and keeping things on schedule. The run notes was perfect for us because we knew what we would be wanting to speak about next. So no, you've done a good job. Sure they'll echo that.
Yeah, after you get done liking, subscribing, sharing, make sure to leave a comment and tell Gary how great he did, because he did a great job.
100%. On that note, thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Let me tell you what, it's been no trick that this was a treat. Welcome back.
Oh.
Goodbye, children.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. You can keep up with Gary Moore at Gary Moore's Art over on Instagram. Keep up with myself, Twitter, on Twitch at MrMac92, and you can't keep up with Hoodie at The Penny Marvels over on Instagram. A very special shout out to Al the Predator Tribesman for creating the intro and outro music. Thanks again for listening. Take care. Bye.